My fiancé's iPad revealed he'd been secretly married in England for 4 years, telling his pregnant wife I was his mentally ill sister. I said nothing to him. Instead, I sent her our engagement photos and wedding contracts. Now he's living in his car, messaging me from his 44th burner number, please help me, while she sues him for everything. I'm Sarah, 29F, and work as a museum curator in Boston. 2 years ago, I met Marcus, 31M, at a conference about Renaissance art preservation. He was charming, well-traveled, and claimed to be an independent art consultant who frequently traveled between the US and Europe for work. We hit it off immediately, and after 6 months of what felt like a fairy tale romance, he proposed with a gorgeous antique ring he said belonged to his grandmother. Marcus told me he was originally from Manchester, England, but had been living in the US for about 8 years. He explained that his accent had faded over time, which made sense. He had this sophisticated air about him, always talking about his latest trip to London or Paris, showing me photos of beautiful galleries and auction houses. I was completely smitten. We moved in together after the engagement, and I thought I knew everything about this man I was planning to marry. How wrong I was. The discovery. 3 months ago, Marcus left for what he said was a 3-week business trip to evaluate a private collection in England. Nothing unusual there, he'd made similar trips before. The night before he left, he was charging his iPad on our kitchen counter when it started buzzing with notifications. I glanced over and saw message previews that made my blood run cold. Love you too, can't wait for you to feel the baby kick again. Dr. Morrison confirmed everything looks perfect at 28 weeks. Your mum called asking when you'll visit next. My hands were shaking as I picked up the iPad. He'd forgotten to log out of his iMessage, and it was synced with a UK phone number I'd never seen before. The contact name was Emma, red heart emoji, ring emoji, with a pregnant woman emoji. I sat there for what felt like hours, scrolling through months of messages. The truth was devastating. Marcus wasn't just traveling to England for business, he was going home to his wife Emma and their soon-to-be-born child. They'd been married for 4 years, owned a house together in Manchester, and she was completely unaware of my existence. But here's the part that made me see red. In their messages, Marcus referred to me as his mentally ill American sister Sarah, who he had to take care of because I was going through a difficult time. He told Emma that I lived in his spare room in Boston and that he was helping me get back on my feet. He even showed her photos of his apartment, our apartment that we shared as an engaged couple. The manipulation was breathtaking. Every business trip, every late-night phone call he took in the other room, every time he was vague about his family back in England, it all made sense now. This man had built an elaborate double life, and I was just a side character in the story he told his real family. The plan. I could have confronted Marcus immediately. I could have called him out, screamed, thrown his belongings out the window. But something inside me went ice cold instead. This level of deception deserved something more calculated. I spent the next 2 weeks meticulously gathering evidence. I screenshot every conversation between Marcus and Emma. I photographed our engagement photos, our lease agreement with both our names, our shared bank account statements, and the wedding venue contracts we'd already signed for our ceremony planned for next spring. I even found our couples therapy intake forms. Yes, we'd been going to counseling to strengthen our communication before marriage. The most damning evidence was a video Marcus had taken of me cooking dinner just weeks before, where he was clearly saying "I love you too," beautiful, in response to something I'd said off camera. He'd sent this same video to his college friend James, captioning it "Living my best life with my gorgeous fiancé." I also discovered that Marcus had been using our joint credit card, the one I thought was for wedding expenses, to send money to Emma for baby items and to pay their mortgage. I'd been unknowingly funding his other life. The execution. Through some careful social media investigation, Emma's Instagram wasn't private. I found out she was having a baby shower the weekend Marcus was supposed to return. Perfect timing. I created a new email account and sent Emma a message that would change everything. Dear Emma, I hope you're doing well. My name is Sarah, and I believe there's something important you need to know about Marcus. I've attached some photos and documents that I think you'll find concerning. I'm not looking to cause drama, but as one woman to another, you deserve to know the truth before your baby arrives. Please look through everything carefully. I'm so sorry you're finding out this way. Best regards, Sarah. I attached our engagement photos, including ones where Marcus was clearly wearing a wedding ring, not the one he wore with Emma, screenshots of our text conversations where he called me pet names and talked about our future together, our signed lease, our wedding venue contract with both our signatures, and the bank statements showing he'd been financially supporting both households. Then I waited. The fallout: Emma called Marcus immediately. I know this because I was tracking the iPad, and suddenly it started blowing up with her calls and messages. When he didn't answer, he was probably on his flight back. She started texting him things like, "Who is Sarah?" and "Explain these photos right now." Marcus arrived home that evening completely unprepared for what awaited him. Emma had forwarded my email to her entire family, including Marcus's mother-in-law, who apparently called him a disgusting liar and told him he was no longer welcome in their home. The confrontation was explosive. Emma had printed out every photo and document I'd sent and had them waiting on our coffee table when Marcus walked in. I watched from the kitchen as his face went through every stage of emotion: confusion, realization, panic, and finally, desperate damage control. He tried every excuse in the book. I was just a friend. The photos were taken out of context. Someone had hacked his accounts to make it look like we were engaged. But when Emma called him during this conversation and I heard her voice through his phone screaming about the wedding contracts and bank statements, he finally broke down and admitted everything. The aftermath: what happened next was swift and merciless. Emma immediately filed for divorce and hired what must be the most ruthless family law attorney in Manchester. Within days, she'd frozen all their joint accounts, filed for full custody of their unborn child, and started proceedings to force the sale of their house. But Emma didn't stop there. She contacted Marcus's employer. Turns out he worked for a prestigious auction house that prized its reputation above everything else. When they learned their employee had been conducting an elaborate fraud involving multiple relationships and financial deception, they fired him immediately. The art world is surprisingly small, and word travels fast. His career in the industry was essentially over. Meanwhile, back in Boston, I'd already started the process of removing Marcus from our lease and our joint accounts. I kept every receipt showing he'd used our money for his UK expenses, and my lawyer assured me I had grounds to recoup those funds. Marcus tried to return to Emma, begging for forgiveness, but she'd changed the locks and had her brothers waiting to escort him away from the property. He couldn't stay with his parents because Emma's family had already told them everything, and they were mortified by their son's behavior. The desperation: this is where the story gets almost sad, if I had any sympathy left for him. With nowhere to go in England and his reputation destroyed, Marcus flew back to Boston, probably hoping to somehow salvage our relationship. I'd already moved his belongings to a storage unit and had our locks changed too. He'd been using different phone numbers to contact me. I'm up to 44 different numbers at this point, which is just pathetic. The messages started angry and demanding, then shifted to bargaining, and now they're just desperate pleas for help. Some highlights: "Sarah, please, I can explain everything. I never meant for this to happen. I'm living in my car. I just need a place to stay until I can figure things out. You were always the one I really loved. Emma was a mistake from my past. I'll do anything to make this right. Please just talk to me. My family won't speak to me. You're the only person I have left. I haven't responded to a single message. What could I possibly say? That I forgive him for making me an unwitting accomplice in his fraud? That I understand why he thought it was acceptable to describe me as his mentally ill sister while planning to marry me? Current status: it's been 3 months since everything exploded, and the legal drama is still unfolding. Emma's divorce attorney has been relentless. They've uncovered even more financial irregularities, including money Marcus had hidden in accounts under his father's name. She's suing him for fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and breach of fiduciary duty. The baby was born last month, a healthy girl, and Emma successfully petitioned the court to remove Marcus's name from the birth certificate until paternity can be legally established through proper channels. My own legal situation has been resolved more quietly. I recovered the money he'd stolen from our joint accounts, plus interest and legal fees. I also kept the engagement ring, which my jeweler confirmed is actually worth significantly more than Marcus claimed. Turns out he'd been lying about that too. The most satisfying part? Emma and I have actually become friends through all of this. We started talking after the initial email exchange, first comparing notes about Marcus's lies, then just supporting each other through the legal proceedings. She's an incredibly strong woman who's handling single motherhood with grace while simultaneously destroying her ex-husband's life through the courts. I have nothing but respect for her. The sweet justice. Marcus's professional reputation is in ruins. Word has spread throughout the art world about his personal conduct issues, and he's essentially been blacklisted from major auction houses and galleries. He's currently working at a chain restaurant outside of Boston while living in an extended stay motel that charges by the week. His family relationships are destroyed. His parents are humiliated and have cut off all financial support. Emma's family, who had treated him like a son for 4 years, now openly refer to him as that fraud when Emma shares updates. Most importantly, both Emma and I are thriving without him. She's building a successful life as a single mother with an amazing support system, and I've thrown myself into my work and have even started seeing someone new, a fellow curator who, refreshingly, has never been married to anyone else. Final thoughts. People keep asking me if I feel guilty about destroying Marcus's life so thoroughly. The answer is absolutely not. This wasn't a simple case of cheating or even having an affair. This was systematic fraud that lasted for years. He stole money from me to support his other family. He was planning to marry me while already married to someone else. He told his wife I was mentally ill to explain away my presence in his life. The consequences he's facing aren't revenge, they're just the natural result of his own choices finally catching up with him. Emma and I didn't destroy his life, we simply stopped enabling him to live a lie. I do sometimes wonder how long he thought he could maintain the charade. Did he plan to eventually divorce Emma and pretend she never existed? Was he going to fake his own death? The logistics of his deception were so complex that part of me is almost impressed by the effort involved, even as I'm disgusted by the cruelty of it. But mostly, I'm just grateful that I found out when I did. Imagine if I'd married him first, or if Emma had given birth before learning the truth. The damage could have been so much worse. Update. Marcus sent me a message yesterday, number 45, for those keeping track, saying he's planning to move to a different state and start fresh. He wanted me to know that he's learned from his mistakes and become a better person. I showed the message to Emma, and we both laughed. Some people never change. I'm sharing this story not for sympathy, but as a warning. Trust your instincts, pay attention to inconsistencies, and remember that someone who can lie to one person they claim to love can just as easily lie to you. Also, always check the iPad. TLDR, discovered my fiancé was actually married with a baby on the way in England, where he told his wife I was his mentally ill sister. Instead of confronting him, I sent his wife all our engagement photos and wedding contracts. Now he's divorced, unemployed, living in his car, and both his ex-wife and I are living our best lives while he sends desperate messages from burner phones.